Okay, so now we're going to take a look at one of the short passages from the Analects, this collection of short writings about moral wisdom that are attributed to the Chinese philosopher Confucius. Before I read the passage, just two more things to know about Confucius's approach to moral wisdom, I guess. So two big ideas to keep in mind. You already know about his concern for moral wisdom specifically, but also there's one truly radical thing that he did for his time, and that was to propose the idea that anybody in society could be a morally wise person. And this was radical in the ancient world. I think in some ways it's still radical even now, that there is in society, modern society, a lot of hierarchy, a lot of thinking that your worth comes from your position in life. And certainly in the ancient Chinese world, there was a lot of that kind of thinking, that the people who were worth more in some inner sense were the people way up at the top of the social hierarchy, the elites. The elites were the worthy people. And so Confucius is proposing, back in that ancient context, this radical idea that true worth was moral worth, and that was available to anybody. The second idea, kind of way to think about the passage we're going to hear, big idea from Confucius, is that moral questions are inherently require judgment. They're not about simply following the rules, that life requires interpretation. And so just as this passage requires that you struggle with it, think about it, interpret it, that's what happens in life as well when we get into moral difficulties. It's usually not straightforward. That's where the wisdom comes in. We have to navigate something tricky. And so that's kind of a radical idea too, that living a morally upright life is not simply following prescribed rules. It's about developing your own sensibility and ability to interpret tricky situations. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the passage and keep these two things in mind. One, that everybody is able to benefit from developing moral wisdom. Doesn't matter your station in life and other social hierarchies. And that moral questions are tricky to think about. It's not as simple as knowing some rules and following them. So this passage comes from chapter 13, book 13 of the 20-book collection, and it's the 18th passage in that 13th book. And it reads, the governor of Shi declared to Confucius, "Among my people, there is a man of unbending integrity. When his father stole a sheep, he denounced him. Confucius said, among my people, men of integrity do things differently. A father covers up for his son. A son covers up for his father. And there is integrity in what they do." So there it is, a short little teaching attributed to Confucius. What do you think about it? What's going on in this little story? Knowing that these passages about Confucius are supposed to help us with our own journey to moral wisdom, what do you think it's meant to help us understand? What are we supposed to get out of it? What is it supposed to do for us? And finally, do you think this passage has anything to say to us about our own times as you discuss it? About how to find moral wisdom in our own lives in the modern world? We certainly don't have the problem of people stealing sheep from each other, not that I know of. So what can we find in this little story that might be helpful to us?